Cow Plunge,
4th grade challenge,
Diabetes Expo.
As a key sponsor of Mustangs baseball and Chiefs training camp, Heartland is the #1 fan for a healthy St. Joseph.
Hello everybody, welcome to St. Joseph, Missouri Chiefs Live, brought to you by Heartland Health. Of course, I'm giving my annual salute to the good folks at Missouri Western, the 100 years of the MIAA, the conference that the Griffins play in every year at training camp for the last 3 years. In the final week of our stay, I give a little love to Western and how they treat us. Another great training camp coming to a close. If you made it out this year for training camp, you can see the extra steps that the university took to ensure your shade at some of these practices. Always a great time here, great staff members, and so wearing my MIAA sweatshirt to salute the Golden Griffins, and it's a little bit cool out here as well. A couple injury issues to get to as we kick off the show today. Brandon Flowers, a big day today for him and tomorrow. In fact, it doesn't look like he'll go today. The foot injury, it's been nearly 2 weeks since we've seen Brandon Flowers practice. Jaleel Brown working with the first team defense in Flowers' absence. Tomorrow, we'll circle that day. We'll check and see if he can go, because if he can't go tomorrow, Romeo Cornell said today may not be able to go for the Chiefs' second preseason game this Saturday in St. Louis. Another injury concern, Cyrus Gray left yesterday's practice with an injured hamstring. He is right now your AFC preseason rushing leader. 15 carries, 65 yards, a touchdown, averaging nearly 4.5 yards per carry. A big game for the rookie out of Texas A&M in the Chiefs preseason opener, but he flared up that hamstring in yesterday's practice, and it looks like he won't work today either, so monitor that as we go forward to St. Louis. Good news, though, when Shane Bannon's return yesterday, as the Chiefs have been operating without a fullback for the most part. Nate Eachus had been playing fullback, although he had never played it up until last week. Patrick DeMarco was working in a bit, but he didn't get here till camp till about a week before the first game, so Shane Bannon returns to the field. And it'll be interesting to see how he works in with this tight end race, as we saw Steve Maneri had a big game against the Arizona Cardinals, the former offensive tackle, and exactly how do the Chiefs work out that fullback situation and that tight end situation. I think, as we've talked on this show, the two go hand in hand. Do you keep 4 tight ends and no fullbacks, or do you keep 1 fullback and 3 tight ends? Bannon's health, as well as the play of Jake O'Connell and Steve Maneri, will go a long way in determining that. So everybody's talking offense right now when it involves the Chiefs. You couldn't script a better start to Friday night's game. The first team offense runs the football well. Matt Castle's efficient. They jump out to a 17-0 lead. And just like that, Brian Daboll is the king of Kansas City. The new offensive coordinator coming up, mixing things up. You had Hillis, who had a career year with Daboll in 2010 with the Browns, got things started with the touchdown. So we talked to Daboll this week, and, well, he says, you know what? At the end of the day, it's just too serious. Daboll cooling the Jets on all the love that the Chiefs are getting offensively. Let's take a look at what he had to say.
And there was enough corrections to make off of all the groups, first groups, second groups, third groups, my part too. And it was good to get out there and get a couple touchdowns. But I talked to the guys earlier. Our focus was on today, getting better, rearview mirror, next practice, day-to-day deal. And we had a pretty good practice out here today, I thought.
With the first group, did you exceed your expectations out there Friday night?
Well, we talk about doing your job, and you need to go out there and do your job, from the quarterback to the coordinator to the running backs to the line to the coaches, and you have to do it as well as you can do it, and you really accept nothing but everybody's best effort, starting with us and then down to the players. So if they go out there and they perform well, they got a chance.
Why did it look so easy for you guys on Friday night?
Well, we made our fair share of mistakes. I thought that they had good energy. I thought for the most part the execution early on was good. I'd say good. But we got a lot of work to do still.
In the bigger picture, how important was it to get something done Friday night?
Well, we Adam, it's when we get into the meetings at night, we talk about it, getting something done in the meetings, and we try to take it out on the practice field, and we try to take it to the practice against Arizona. We're going to try to take it to the preseason games, and there's going to be ebbs and flows, and it's really critical that each person understands that they have a role to do. And if one play breaks down, it could be because of one person. It could be because of a call. It could be something. So just take care of your responsibility, and make sure you're on page with all the other guys on the field. There was good communication. I thought the coaches did a good job on the sideline of shuffling guys in and out. The pictures were good on the sidelines. I mean, it takes a whole team effort. But we're just out here today trying to work against our guys and get better against a good defense.
Now, Mitch Holthus now joins us on set at Chiefs Training Camp Live. Candace Ingram of Alabama helping us out this training. You've been a lot of on-air time right there, Mitch.
People have wanted to know who the Beyonce lookalike is at camp. That's who it is. Roll Tide. We got lots of Alabama influence on this roster.
And she took that Dable press conference. She transcribed.
But look at Dable. He looks like a refugee from an episode of Lost. Look at him. It's like, is he going to get voted off the island here before this is over? Look, he got some camp growth going on. Got the Gilligan's hat.
Yeah, the Gilligan hat with a little flipped-up bill. But I do like the way that Brian Dable addresses it. In fact, someone asked him in his little impromptu presser if he feels like a rock star in Kansas City. It is preseason football, and it's awesome to get excited about this team, and I think everyone is as the Chiefs go into their second preseason game. But at the end of the day, Mitch, it is still preseason football. Let's tailor the expectations just a little bit. You couldn't script this start any better. Peyton Hillis had a career year working under Dable. Dable's had a history of getting the best out of running backs. Last year we saw it with Reggie Bush in Miami. And, of course, you've got Hillis matching up and pairing with Jamal Charles. And you had Sean Drone and Cyrus Gray had a great first game as well. So there's lots of things to like about Dable, but this offense still has a ways to go.
Yeah, but let's be honest. In 16 plays here in these two drives, I think we counted at least 7 checkoffs. It's Brian Dable's system where he gives the freedom to Matt Castle to check. Everybody else has to go along with the check, but this is a check play where they ran for the long play by Hillis. And you saw in the Hillis touchdown pass, that's a hot read. They sent 2 guys. They sent an outside guy and a safety that you didn't see on the screen was coming up the middle. So that's a matter of making the hot read and making the play. Now, again, it's only the preseason, but we haven't seen offensive football like this in a long time. Give the offensive line credit, too. When I watched the game tape, the offensive line, with a few exceptions, had a very good start to this preseason and to the season. So we don't want to get it out of hand, but there is a lot of confidence in Brian Dable and what he has done, and he deserves some credit to this point.
You mentioned the checks, and Matt, you said 7 out of 16 plays Matt Castle checked out of. That was your count. And the production meeting before this game, I was able to sit back and let Trent and Matt talk, and they were talking all sorts of, double set left, flanker right, all sorts of things that the common fan doesn't understand. But one of the things they talked about, and Matt said, was he's very comfortable in this system because of Brian Dable's trust in him and his trust to be able to check at the line of scrimmage. And as long as he's making those right checks, and he's free to check to any play he wants in this system. And Dable, I think, has shown the confidence in Matt, and Matt showed how comfortable he can be working under Dable with the ability to check at the line of scrimmage.
Let's go back to that play. If I can get Kevin Brebner or Brebs or the Outbreak Monkey or Monk to go back to that play, I want to show you, because the point you make is a good one. It is carried over to all of Matt Castle's game. When I watched this play on the coach's tape, this is one of the better throws Matt has made as a Chief. But the other thing to look at, if you're going to run the football, the complement is play-action passing. Watch the play-action pass. He gets back to his back step quickly and puts that right on the money on a deep out to Dexter McCluster. They were actually doubling John Baldwin in this game. I didn't realize it when I was doing the play-by-play, but they had a safety over the top of him, which meant that McCluster had some freedom to roam in there on a one-on-one play. Great play-action fake, got to his back foot, throws it on the money on a deep out to McCluster, and yes, they found a home for McCluster as well. Noah
Groniger asked a good question. It's one that you and I talked a little bit about after the game. Mitch, he asked, is there any way the Chiefs keep 4 running backs? And I assume he means, he goes through 4 running backs, 4 tight ends, and 6 wide receivers. I guess that would be how you classified Dexter McCluster. Let's back it up to the 4 running backs and take fullback out of the equation. I do see a scenario where the Chiefs keep Drone, Gray, because both of those guys can be special teamers, and then, of course, Hillis and Charles. And then you're looking, if you keep 4 tight ends, you're probably not going to keep a fullback. That's the other big question. How does the fullback situation go with the whole tight end scenario? Steve Maneri's big game, do they keep him? Jake O'Connell has that backfield flexibility. Do they go with him as kind of the fullback role? Do they go with Bannon or Nate Eachus and that? And then, obviously, you go with the receivers, where I think you at least keep 6 receivers if you count Dexter as a receiver.
I'm going to agree with you every step of the way. They do keep 4 running backs. Sean has had a great camp. Cyrus Gray, I think, leads the NFL in the preseason after 1 week with what he did. Cyrus Gray was outstanding in this game. He ran a draw in the second half, which was perfect. Little stop-start as if you were playing Madden and hitting the blue button, blue, 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 green, let him go. And he did an excellent job there. But I want to go back, call on my man Brebs again to go back to that play at the goal line where Sean Drone gets to score here. Watch the offensive line on this play. Engage and drive. Command the line of scrimmage and then attack. Moyaki makes a great block there. The lead blocker, Eachus, gets there. But everybody on the offensive line, contact and drive, and they were doing that on those first 2 series. Good to see it.
Yeah, new coach McNell of the offensive line talked about how his line played yesterday, especially the young offensive linemen, specifically Rodney Hudson at center. Here's what Coach McNell had to say about his offensive line following their first action.
I know you obviously weren't here last year, but with Rodney Hudson starting for the first time at center in the NFL, what do you notice out of him that he's doing real well right now?
The thing that I really like is he's making a lot of the calls. We're putting some pressure on him, and he's not overwhelmed by anything. You know, and that was a big test this past couple of nights ago, because when he came off on the sidelines, he didn't have that wide-eyed look. He knew exactly what was going on out there. The veteran guys are helping him, but he's doing a nice job as far as setting up the offense and not, you know, kind of with bright lights and with seeing some different things. He didn't panic or anything, and he wasn't overwhelmed by it.
Now, after all that, how was his play then?
He did a nice job there also. You know, again, it's all of us are in the process of, you know, we'll make some mistakes and we'll have some good plays and then we'll make some mistakes, and that's what preseason is all about. And I think that the important thing is that once you make a mistake, you come back and don't make another one, and that's what Rodney's been good at so far. Once he makes a mistake, okay, I got it, and then the next time the same situation comes up, he doesn't make the same mistake.
Brendan Alba was split.
They did a nice job. They were, you know, again, it's I'll tell you what, it's different. I mean, in the NFL, the speed of it's different, and again, they did some nice things, and then they struggled at times with some things that I know they're going to be able to get better at, and you know, that's the key right now. Okay, we made that mistake. Don't make it again. You know, you get out there, you got beat inside. Well, don't jump outside of the guy. Or, you know, I can remember one time when a Mike Backer blitzed real fast and Jeff Allen kind of missed it. You know, well, hey, that's the speed of the game. You got to be ready because it's going to come quick. So,
how are you splitting your reps with Jeff between guard and tackle?
Well, he's mainly a guard, but we also want at least the possibility. In the NFL, you've got to be able to play all kinds of different positions. So we want to make sure that if we do need him at tackle for some strange reason, that he's ready to go.
And you feel mentally that he was all right on that left side on Friday night?
Yeah, he's doing fine. You know, again, it's a situation where they'll make some mistakes that the veterans don't make, you know, and you're like, Jeff, you know, we're doing this from that situation. That's right, Coach, you know, I got it. But the thing I like so far is they're not making those same mistakes again.
Coach Jack McNell Jr. talked a lot about Rodney Hudson and his role, Mitch, and let's rewind to what we talked about Matt Cassel checking the line of scrimmage. That makes a first-year center in Rodney Hudson's job all the more important and all the more difficult. When Matt Cassel checks a line, it may be checking from a pass to a run. It could be checking different ways they're going to run the football. That also checks things for Rodney Hudson, who has to readjust this offensive line as soon as Matt makes a call at the line of scrimmage. So a lot of early testing for Hudson, and as Matt continues to check plays in the line of scrimmage through the preseason, I think that's great action for Hudson to get that experience in.
Perfecto, and it's a great point that you bring up. We talked about it a lot during our radio broadcast on Friday night. What Rodney Hudson has shown is he's an intelligent guy and he's athletic, and we've also seen that he's powerful. Now, let's be honest, he's basically a rookie in that spot, although it's his second year. And he missed the block. Matt Cassel took a shot on that was called unsportsmanlike conduct. So that was on Rodney, I get it. Most every other block, though, Rodney was on his game. But the point you make is a good one. People don't, I mean, we can all underestimate what Rodney has to do. He's got to play in a snap count in his mind when he runs the line of scrimmage. When he sees it and they line up, he's calling the line calls. He has to set it in the middle of that offensive line. All of a sudden, Matt calls a check. He's going to make sure he's got that check in his own mind, make sure he relays that to the rest of the guys, locate the Mike linebacker so that they get their blocking calibrated off who the Mike is. There's 1,000 things going through Rodney's mind before he snaps it. And then, oh, by the way, you got to deal with Dan Williams blowing snot on you right here in an odd front like he's going to see a lot this year. I really like Rodney Hudson, and I think he's got, man, the sky's the limit with him.
And you've liked him since one of those first days of training camp when we saw him get out on that
Yes,
screen
sir.
pass and he made the big block that sprung Jamal Charles loose. And what I said was the first time we'd seen the Jamal Charles of old when he got in the open field, and we replayed about 50 times.
Thursday, August the
show.
2nd, not that I'm remembering.
Thursday, August, you're like Rain Man over here.
Yeah,
Thursday,
Rain Man. But
Thursday, the August 2nd, Rodney Hudson got out. He had a block that sprung Jamal Charles
Well,
at 4:28 in the afternoon.
That's right. 4:28. You got it at 4:25 actually. Because
well, that's when they returned to the field. Now you're mixing it up.
Yeah, my bad. I get a little mixed up there. But we got the Monster Truck Show there too with Peyton Hillis. But Rodney, the thing Rodney can do as well is get to the second level, and again, just watching the offensive line work in concert. Winston's a stud over on the right side, but I mean, Rodney, you just got to know what's going on. That was a great. I could watch that play over and over.
Let's talk about a play that caught a buzz at camp and Twitter, and then I put out this picture of Devin Wiley and his catch yesterday, and it got ridiculous Twitter love. And
is this Steve Sanders?
That's Steve Sanders, our photographer. I told him he needs to create like an Instagram account
of
his best shots because he gets stuff like this every practice. Throw that up there for one more second, Brebner. And
he's really, really good too, by the way. Chiefs cheerleader calendar, he does that.
This was an incredible catch by Wiley yesterday.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible, as you can see. It's the full. In fact, I showed it to him in the cafeteria last night. I said, "Oh, you email it to me. You got to email it to me right now." Even he loved it.
You know that's going up Twitter pic, or if he's got an Instagram account, it's coming out. Because Wiley likes to tweet.
So Wiley has a big catch yesterday. It seems like the game's coming to him a little bit more. However, it was a mixed bag for him in the preseason opener. He had one over the middle that he got his hands on. It was a little high that Quinn threw, but he had his hands on it. It went off his hands. The Arizona Cardinals pick it, and they turn into 3 points before the half. That's the negative on him. The positive, and it was due to good blocking, but we saw what Devin Wiley can do in the return game here, and we also saw that he's able to bend his neck along with his body to stay up after a face mask like that. I talked to him yesterday about that. He said that he'd never been face masked like that in his career. However, he said that his body just kind of naturally went with it, and he watched and had no idea how he was able to keep his footing, but there's the still shot of it. And he doesn't go down from that, and he says there's no results from that. His neck feels fine, but he's seen the picture, and it was
it's Arizona first-round draft pick Michael Floyd.
That's interesting. So you've got two of the best shots really of the preseason involve Devin Wiley. Yesterday's practice shot, and Ken, when you throw that up again, you can see Floyd has left his feet with his hands on the. Well, there's the practice shot, but if you look at the face mask shot, Floyd has actually left his feet when he takes Wiley's head off it with the face mask. It's a pretty incredible shot, both by our photographer, Steve Sanders. Right place, right time. Great shots with Wiley. But Mitch, how have you seen this guy come along over the last week of training camp?
Full of spit and vinegar. This guy is got no fear. He had an explosive punt return yesterday that kind of just froze you up. But decisive. He's thinking about going to the house every time, and yet I think he stays basic, doesn't get out. Some guys want to go to the house and get away from the blocking scheme or try to do it on their own. He doesn't seem that way. He has another gear, however, and he showed it yesterday in practice when it was one step, two step, gone, and just takes off. I think he factors into this right away at the beginning of the season, even if all he's doing is returning punts, because I think he's headed to the house. He takes a good punt return team, the top 6, I believe, last year in the National Football League, but puts a bit of explosiveness in it. And if you get this another edge, it created field position. Look what it did for Ricky Stanzi on that play, because they go down and are able to score there. So creating field position or points off special teams is something the Chiefs did not have last year. They didn't get it. Look what happened with McCluster in the 2010 game, the Monday Night Football against the Chargers, how it dictates a game. Last year, that was not there for the Chiefs. This guy can put it there because he is explosive.
We talked to Devin Wiley after practice on Monday following that big catch he had, following another good punt return he had, to ask him how he's feeling in this Chiefs offense.
Was it an NFL game all that you thought it would be, your very first one under the lights?
It was extremely fun and very exciting. I was expecting myself to be a little nervous, but I wasn't at all. I mean, our coaches have done a great job at preparing us and getting us ready for that game, so it all just kind of let it loose and go out and focus, and it was just a lot of fun.
Do you let yourself at some point when you walk out there like, this is what I dreamed about, this is what, or is it, can you truly just walk out there and say, I've got a job to do at this point?
It's a little bit of both. You know, it's obviously, you know, a dream come true to be able to be out there and play, but at the same time, it's like, okay, I better do my job or it won't be fun.
Now, besides the constant questions on, have you seen Dwayne Bowe yet, which is the only fact I know is he's not in training camp in St. Joseph, so I don't know if he's in Kansas City, outside of Kansas City, nor do I really care till I see him up here at camp. So for everybody asking in the chat room, there's been no Dwayne Bowe spottings in St. Joseph, but nationally the news centered around the Chiefs right now, Mitch, it isn't about Dwayne Bowe. It's actually about Dontari Poe and where he is on the Chiefs depth chart. You know, there was a report in the Kansas City Star that the other Poe, P-O-W-E, who had a good game on Friday night, is actually the one competing with Anthony Toribio, not Poe, P-O-E, the Chiefs' first-round draft pick, 11th overall. Really all reports are centered around that this player has struggled over his first 2 weeks at Chiefs training camp and that he's having a difficult time grasping this two-gap scheme. Romeo Crennel, Mitch, kind of addressed that today. The Chiefs aren't disappointed in Dontari Poe. He just, it's a different thing that he has learned. Here's what Romeo Crennel had to say about his rookie.
Well, you know what, I'll tell you the same thing that I told him the other day, is that no matter what everybody says, all right, if you work to get better and be able to help this team win, then you're valuable for this team. And so that's the approach I want him to take, all right, to help this team win. And if he will do the things that we need him to do, then that'll help the team win, and then we'll all be happy.
So as we expected on Friday night, we saw Dontari work with the reserves in the 3-4 base, and when they went to the sub-package, he was the third down rush guy. I think Romeo Crennel has been very clear about this. I think I've tried to be very clear, and what he's doing in sub-package is what he did at Memphis. So the Chiefs, that's old hat. They put him out with the first team. What he's doing in the base defense is completely different, something he's never done before. That's what they're trying to teach him here, and that's what's taking the work with Poe. Well, what are your thoughts on where Poe is on the depth chart first, and then where you think he can go?
Well, you nailed it. To say he's third on the depth chart is really wrong, depending, if it's the base, maybe, but we're talking the sub-package, and we've said here before and said it ad nauseum, the Chiefs are in their sub-package half of the time. And if Atlanta's in a 3-wide set to start the season, he'll start the season. So you just have to understand, I think, kind of what's going on here. Plus, we want to write book reviews before we even read the table of contents. I mean, it's just getting started with this guy. Now, are there times he struggled the other night? He did. But overall, the defensive line, I mean, he's back there in the backfield there. There were 7 sacks in this game against Arizona, 3 by defensive linemen, 3. Plus, there were negative runs in this game. 7 in the first place for Arizona, 3 were negative plays, and 2 of those were negative runs. But if the guys up front are doing their job, it allows Houston and Derek Johnson to come screaming off the edge. Look at the offensive line occupied. Poe's occupying him there, allowing the guys to come in. So, no, and there were times Poe got handled when I watched the tape. There's times he got turned around, he got doubled when he was in on the base. But that was the sub-package. And when he does his job in the sub-package, good things are going to happen even if he doesn't get the statistic.
Case Ruckman in our chat room asked a question, and I think he's probably not the only one asking this. He asks, someone please go into detail why nose tackle is harder in our scheme than the others. And I think that's a valid point, Case, and a lot of people don't understand it. And I guess let's go back to Glenn Dorsey and what he was asked to do at LSU. A 4-3 scheme. We play a 3-4 here in Kansas City. And in a 4-3 scheme, your defensive linemen, just like Dontari Poe played at Memphis, are told basically get upfield, get after the quarterback, and go. You see Alan Bailey doing that right now. He's working one-on-one with the guy trying to get to the quarterback. He's rushing one gap, and he is penetrating and going all out for a football. When you go to 3-4, and this applies to the D-ends a little bit as well, and that's why I brought up Glenn Dorsey and kind of his transition, but especially for a nose tackle, it's completely opposite of what you've been taught in college of get up and go. If you do that and you only eat up one lineman, look, you only have 2 defensive ends on you, what's going to happen to Derek Johnson? He's going to have guards coming out on him, centers coming out on him, and then you're losing your linebackers. The job of a nose tackle, you see Poe working there right there, and that's actually in the sub-package scheme. That's not in the base. But what the nose tackle needs to do is eat up not one gap, but two gaps. It's almost like just hold your ground. It's a lot of handwork. You talk about the handwork a lot. It's not get up and go, because if you get up and go, you're not playing in this defense. It's kind of resetting the mind and really the entire thing you've been taught your whole life to play this defense in that technique. It's very difficult, which is why, again, in the sub-package, they have Dontari Poe, get up and go and do your thing, get after the quarterback. That's natural. In the base defense, it's taking him some time, as I think is common with anyone that runs a 3-4, which is what Romeo Crennel runs here in Kansas City.
I know I get accused of being the king of the metaphor from time to time, but to me it's like the difference of working the 3 to 11 shift at the emergency room and being the 3 to 11 shift as the night watchman at the museum. Now, nothing against night watchmen at the museum. Okay, we all have responsible jobs, but when you work ER, man, it's a tough job. And the job that you have in a 3-4 as a defensive lineman is a tough job. Now, here he gets handled. He gets double-teamed a lot, but you're going to have that when you are the nose tackle. He's got to be better to disengage. However, he does his job and allows the outside to come free, and Sheffield gets the sack. Sheffield gets the sack. People go, oh, okay, good. If I got Sheffield on my defensive fantasy team. But honestly, Dontari needs to learn to disengage here too, because we've also seen guys that play in the 3-4 scheme overall. Seymour comes to mind when he was with New England. Haloti Ngata, Vince Wilfork, guys that can play the 2-gap scheme, do that 3 to 11 job in the emergency room, and still disengage and make plays. Toribio did it against Lyle Sedline in this game in the base when he had the negative run play. So, yes, there's a ways to go with him, but to say that he's third team or some kind of bust so far is really not a statement you can make at this point.
No, I think it's far too early to make that statement, and who knows when Dontari Poe will eventually become a starter in the space defense. The question is when. Does it happen this year? Does it happen next year?
It may not even happen this year.
Yeah, it may not. And
their approach has been the same with what they did with Alan Bailey last year. Play to his strengths and then work into the 2-gap thing, because Alan Bailey's really the same guy. He's not the number 1 on the base. He's back up on the base, sometimes with the 3s, depending on what they do with Ropati. But when it comes
he's probably the 3 on the base with Ropati in the way he played.
Okay.
But he's a big part of this defense.
Yeah, because he's number 1 in the sub. So it's the same thing they're doing with 92 and 97.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. And, of course, Dontari Poe, I think, as the preseason goes on, you're going to see more and more of him in the base because they want to get him that game experience and that game action. And as long as Anthony Toribio is being called a technician by Romeo Crennel, then that means Coach Crennel is pretty happy with the guy in front of him. So I think it's too early to panic on Dontari Poe and the whole third depth chart thing. While that might actually, it could be accurate for base defense, it's not completely accurate because the Chiefs are in their sub-package last year about 50% of the time. So you're looking at Dontari Poe as, okay, a third stringer playing 30-some-odd snaps per game as it would stand now in the sub-package defense. So I guess what context do you want to take the third-string report in?
And the big picture, don't put anything into the third-string report. The bigger picture here is how many defensive linemen do you keep? Because we're talking mathematics throughout the entire 53 squad here, and offense affects defense and how many guys you keep at what positions. It looks like 6 to me. It looks like 6. 2 all the way down the line. So Bailey and Poe would be backups in the sub-packet, or backups in the base. But a guy like Gerald Poe doing what he did now becomes real interesting because that's the first flash he's had since he's been a Chief in a game, whether it's preseason or regular season.
Yeah, up until then, it was the speed he had chasing down Josh Johnson in last year's preseason opener when he chased him down from behind against Tampa Bay. You're right, that's about it, Mitch. And there's really only a few more days here at training camp in St. Joseph. We'll be back with you live tomorrow at 2 p.m. And then we'll also have a show on Thursday at 2 before the Chiefs break camp. Head home, head to St. Louis for the Governor's Cup, and really, in past years, we've said that camp continues. It doesn't continue this year, Mitch. The Chiefs will actually move into an in-season schedule under Romeo Crennel. He wants them to get used to that once they head home. So really, training camp is all about over here in St. Joseph. We've had great numbers and viewers in this show and in the chat room. And, of course, our partners at Heartland Health making this show possible every day that there is a practice. It's been another great year. We still have 2 more days. So join us tomorrow for Chiefs Training Camp Live presented by Heartland Health. We'll see you then.
Cow Plunge.
4th grade challenge.
Diabetes Expo.
As a key sponsor of Mustangs baseball and Chiefs training camp, Heartland is the #1 fan for a healthy St. Joseph.